Good day, good day, good day, good day. Okay, so I'm gonna just say this like most of us, we're burnt out on all this Trump nonsense and BS news we're constantly getting clouded with. From him strengthening his supporters at the Coachella rally to, I don't know, all this crazy Project 2025 bullshit. It's just, I'm tired. I'm tired. I'm tired. So today we're gonna watch a video from my friend and fellow creator Kitty Monk. Um, yeah, if you don't know Kitty Monk's channel, she's a video essayist who talks about Family Guy, Rick and Morty, and some other stuff, but mostly Family Guy, American Dad, Rick and Morty. But this is an essay about Angela from Family Guy. If you remember Angela, yeah.
We have a few days left in the month to contribute. Don't worry, I know we can reach our goal. I guess since I like to say one new thing about the charity each video, well, Knitted Knockers doesn't just support people in the US. It's worldwide. There's countries like Canada, South Africa.
Right. Her sponsor is a company called Knitted Knockers. It's a company specializing for women who've had mastectomies. Yeah, like for y'all don't know what a mastectomy is, that's when they cut out the breast for whatever reason, whether it's a trans woman or trans man or a person with breast cancer. But yeah, Knitted Knockers supports them by it's what it sounds like.
Australia, Brazil, China, Thailand, and the Philippines. And these are just some of the countries available that they are based in. If you live in a country that isn't listed on their website, well, always be on the lookout. They're adding more every day. So donate today. Hey, that rhymes. Remember to get your checks, and remember also, you are loved, you are wanted, and you got this. Now on with the video.
Oh, oh, God. I really hope there's a hungry horse back there.
Okay, well, this video does focus primarily on Angela. Well, I think you know by now that I like to do hybrids when I talk about episodes, where I'll spend the first 10 minutes maybe talking about the character and how they relate, and then I'll talk about the actual episode itself. And you know, since it's Angela, it's gonna be that episode. Peter harassment. Since Peter harassment discusses female on male sexual harassment in a really bad way, I just wanted to say that I will put out a brief trigger warning just in case. Okay, here we go. Hi, I'm Kitty Monk, and I'm here to talk to you about Family Guy. Or more specifically, Peter's boss, Angela. Again, I primarily want to review. Okay, you watched the intro. Do I really have to do all this? No, believe it or not, well, Angela is Peter's boss. I mean, she was voiced by the late great Carrie Fisher. Well, she wasn't
rest
Peter's
in peace,
only
Carrie
boss,
Fisher.
probably the most notable. In fact, Peter actually had several jobs before he got to Pawtucket Brewery, and therefore several other bosses to compete with her. At the start of the show, Peter worked for the Happy-Go-Lucky Toy Factory, and his boss was Mr. Weed. What kind of a name is that? Seriously, like, my name isn't Mr. Methamphetamine. Mr. Weed, outside of being voiced by the ultra-awesome Carlos Alazraki, okay, he's the guy who voices Rocco and Mr. Crocker, okay? And Butch Hartman in the pilot didn't really have much of a character to him. He was Peter's boss, and there was the recurring joke that even if he was pretty level-headed, he was also in the closet. And that was it, really. He was just Peter's boss. He got no development or nothing. And most, he was just an obstacle for Peter to conquer. Like, Peter had to do this, or he'd get fired, or something like that.
To be an asset to our company on and off the field. You have impeccable credentials.
I'm sure I can find a position for you somewhere.
It's no wonder he was eventually killed off in Mr. Saturday Night, where he chokes at a dinner Peter held to try and impress him to get a promotion, and with his death closed the toy factory.
Gotcha. It's just me, Dad. I'm here for the body.
Oh, Peter, it's okay. It's just death.
Oh, thank God.
But Peter has a family to feed, so he must look for another job. Therefore, Peter worked as a fisherman for a few seasons with these two Portuguese guys whose names I'm too lazy to Google. Pardon. Where he was his own boss, and therefore he had to deal with nobody but himself.
This is it. What the hell?
Papa, he killed Mordecai, the dancing Yiddish clown.
Stop crying. You just became a man, now act like one.
Which is
You
bad
just
in
became
a
a
sense,
man,
because
now
while
act
I
like
do think
one.
Peter can be good at being self-employed or starting his own company, even if as somebody who is self-employed you need a lot of discipline and time management, well, fishing is one that sort of requires skill, and it's you have to be very lucky and you have to be patient at it in order to land a profit. It's kind of like YouTube, but with a lot more discipline. And while Peter is the former, as in he can have a lot of skill when he wants to be, he's not necessarily the latter. Plus, also, it's not like YouTube. Location very much plays a role, and I don't think Rhode Island is a good fishing spot. I'm sorry, I know nothing about Rhode Island. I assume maybe Massachusetts, though. Also, speaking from experience, because I went crabbing a lot as a teenager, well, if you go fishing, you also have to be super quiet, which is loud for somebody like me, because I am both Latino and Italian and neurodivergent. Any loud noise can easily spook the fish, and I like to picture
Latino,
like
Italian,
episode
and
of SpongeBob, that's just
neurodivergent.
it. And honestly, the only thing I hated about chicken fishing, since that's what we would call crabbing, was that you have to wake up at the ass crack of dawn just to get started. Like, we had to wake up at 3 or 4 a.m. on some days and drive an hour down to the shore near Seaside Heights just to fish. But then we got to go get ice cream by like noon, so it all worked out. Sorry, getting off track, but you see my point? It's really not for everybody. Like, part of me wouldn't be surprised if one reason Peter didn't want to go fishing with Chris in fresh air wasn't just because he didn't care about his son, but because fishing for a living made him hate the experience even more. Heck, he even said in Perfect Castaways, which aired right before Jungle Love, aka the episode where he starts working at Pawtucket, that it was getting harder and harder to find fish, and therefore getting harder and harder to put food on the table.
Did you catch any fish?
No, but I caught this turtle.
Peter, we have a family to feed. We all count on you to provide for us.
I know, and I feel terrible.
And his journey to catch fish that episode left him and his friends stranded on a desert island for months and destroyed his fishing boat. So, come Jungle Love, Peter eventually saw fit to start searching for a new job, and he started working at a job he holds to this day, at the Pawtucket Brewery. Yay! And I just realized I can't really say the word brewery, I am sorry. At first, his job is pretty similar to what he did at the toy factory, where he worked as a blue-collar worker on the assembly line. I don't know what he does here. Like, does he put, like, the caps on the bottles? Does he check to be sure it's, like, up to Bavarian standards? I have no idea. All I know is he's on the assembly line. Okay, fine with that? Fortunately, kind of, it turns out that there is a perk for people who work for Pawtucket. Free beer.
This is where you'll be working, Mr. Griffin. Oh, and I should mention,
Okay, so this moment where Peter gets his job at Pawtucket Brewery, and they're like, he gets free beer. This is so dumb what he does next. If you've seen this episode, you know what's about to happen. He's getting the tour of the assembly line.
just
And
ask that you don't drink during your shift.
That won't be a problem.
Yeah, I'm more of a wine person myself, or a whiskey person, or a bourbon person, or a sangria person, or a screwdriver person, or a, we get it, Kitty, you don't like beer. Well, I'm sorry if I had an embarrassing
I'm kind of
public
with her on
experience
that.
with beer,
I don't
and it
like
also
beer.
tastes like donkey pee.
It's nothing but liquid
I have my
bread.
history, you have yours.
Mr. Griffin, what happened to your pants?
Oh, look who's here, mister. I don't have time for your Little League games. Terry!
However, this being Peter, he doesn't just drink at work, even though he's not supposed to, he also drinks at home.
Hey Meg, what's with all the beer cans?
Oh, my dad got a job at the brewery, and he gets lots of free beer.
Actually, he's kind of been going overboard lately.
I guess he can make some extra money giving those beer cans to recycling, and he could use that money to buy more beer. Brain, you do wonders for me. As a result, he's demoted to the shipping department, and he now has a desk job, where his boss is Angela. Unlike his last boss, who was pretty chill and had no name, well, Angela is named, and she is also quite strict.
This is your new supervisor, Angela.
Mr. Griffin, we have different rules here. For starters, no drinking. Period. We start work at 7 a.m. sharp.
I mean, don't get me wrong, 7 a.m. shifts suck. Like, I feel his pain. Like, I have to wake up at 5:30 to get to class by 8:45 some days because of NJ Transit, and I also have to walk 2 miles. But on the bright side, if it's an 8-hour shift, which I'm assuming this is, at least he'll be done by 3 o'clock. Gotta look at the positives here. Besides, even if Angela says you can't drink, well, she never actually defines when you can't drink. She probably means, like, you can't drink when you're on the job, which is pretty fair, I hate to say. Like, no job is gonna let you drink on the job. He wasn't even allowed to drink on the job when he was on the assembly line. Especially more so here because his job is more desk-related. One wrong move, everybody's screwed. Yeah, that rhymes. Besides, what is she gonna do? Make him take a pee test? Amazon one to his house every Sunday to be sure he's not drunk on Mondays? Fat chance, that costs money. Money she doesn't have. So yeah, this is a quick introduction to Angela. But I gotta say, I kind of liked Angela. Or at least I liked the concept of her. In a way, I'd even argue she's a good boss, since she's strict, but she's also quite fair. Like, she's better than Mr. Weed in that regard. If she recognizes genius, or at least potential in her employees, she'll gladly nurture it, and give credit where credit is due. Like, she knows Stella is a good employee who always gets her work done on time, so she'll let her take the occasional smoke break, even though smoke breaks aren't healthy, but hey, extra 15 minutes, we can all use that. Plus, she doesn't discriminate against disabled people.
Yes.
She treats them like equals. She employs Opie, who she notes is a burden of the state.
He is a burden of the state, deemed unfit for mainstream society. He is your superior.
But she recognizes he's a great employee and he knows what he's doing, hence him being her second in command.
And although I may not fully understand Opie's management style, he has proven himself a more competent employee than you.
And when Opie stopped working there, she employed Stella, who is deaf and who needs to be in more episodes besides like quick cameos to remind us she works there. And she's also voiced by Marley Matlin, BTW. I hear her and Seth are friends in real life.
Nice to meet you. Well, what is this? We doing a new secret handshake now?
No, Griffin, she's deaf.
Oh. Can she read lips?
Yes, I can.
Plus, I hate to say it, I get why she's this way with Peter. I mean, have you ever met him? Have you ever watched his show? He's not that dedicated of an employee, and he's a pretty destructive person on his best day. He needs somebody like her to keep him on the straight and narrow. Mr. Weed didn't really do that because Peter would usually, like, find some way around it. Not to mention that when Peter is a good employee, well, she can be a good boss to him in turn. Like when Peter tried very hard for a promotion to get the executive bathroom privilege, and she realized, wow, he actually is putting the work in. He's cleaning up, and she applauded him for it.
And I've seen that you've been working very hard lately. I am recommending you for a promotion.
Will I get to use the executive bathroom?
Of course.
She even recommended him for the position, which is higher than her. And the only reason he never got it was a combo of he never finished the 3rd grade, hence the episode being called Tales of a 3rd Grade Nothing, and he also blew up a children's hospital, and, you know, she was obligated to report him.
What, you think everyone just forgot about that? There was an investigation. 19 children died, Peter. And the FBI knows it was you.
Outside of Peter harassment, the only time I didn't really like Angela as a boss was in Trading Places. For the title, Peter and Lois trade places with Chris and Meg and find that the kids are actually better at what they do than their parents.
But what about all the housework?
I did it in like an hour. I don't understand why you're such a freaking martyr all the time. It's a house. It's a finite area. I'm not cleaning a town.
Which I think it's because the arrangement is temporary, so honestly, if you know something is temporary, that makes it easier to apply yourself, at least in my experience, because you know you don't have to permanently alter yourself. Plus, like I always say, Chris is basically Peter with a lot more potential and discipline, just a lot more people in his life holding him back. So Angela is impressed by Chris and his work ethic.
But you're actually doing good work.
Well, it's a lot easier than high school, I'll tell you that.
Well, how do you mean?
High school is like Lord of the Flies. It's a social nightmare.
The thing is, Well, she fires Peter and replaces him with Chris, who, might I remind you, is a minor and still in high school, and Angela is well aware of this fact and the fact it's a temporary arrangement. And because Lois apparently can't get a job herself that isn't related to groceries, well, Chris has to keep working at the brewery until Peter gets another job. Unfortunately, because he's now a permanent part of the company, Chris, not Peter, Angela gives him extra paperwork to do. And by extra, I mean unpaid work that takes him hours and hours to finish. Like, I feel so bad for him.
But that's not my department.
It is now. The company's making cutbacks. You can handle it. It's just a little extra paperwork.
And this turns him into a boomer dad who can't drink to dull his senses because he's too young.
So, Chris, good day at the office?
You know, actually, Angela said that the spreadsheets I presented were beyond the projections for last quarter.
Oh, is that good?
You know what? Never mind.
Yeah, maybe making her such a bad boss in Peter Assman wasn't so far-fetched, because something I was going to bring up was one thing I dislike about the episode that not a lot of people talk about is how out of character Angela acts, which is something I don't like about political episodes in most shows. Like, it's fine if it's a teensy tiny bit out of character for the sake of a joke or something, since, hey, if it's funny, you can laugh it off and you know it's quick, but a lot of the time to fit the crew's agenda, they'll have the characters act either too over the top or just plain out of character. Like, BoJack was really guilty of this. Or they'll turn them into mouthpieces, which can get really frustrating. And it's so frustrating to me because you know they're only doing it because they want to espouse a message, whether the message is good or bad. And if the message is poorly researched or done, like it is here, well, you basically ruined a character when you could have just written like a Twitter post or something. And in Angela's case, permanently, since when people watch Angela from now on, they're not going to think about the fact she was voiced by Carrie Fisher, or that she was a good boss who did deserve the spotlight a bit more. I mean, like, she easily could have been in, like, And Then There Were Fewer. It's that she sexually harassed Peter, borderline SA'd him, basically tried to grape him, and got away with it. And it's all played dead serious. Honestly, with a lot of the political episodes for Family Guy, I feel like the episodes would be a lot better if they focused on anybody other than the Griffins, except for Screams of Silence. But even then, I still think the concept was salvageable and could have been a normal comedy episode. And this is extra true here. Like, even Quagmire's Quagmire did this whole plot line way better, and they didn't play it for a joke. In fact, they actually did have jokes. I don't know, you know what I mean. So let's properly discuss Peter Assman. Of course, since this is Family Guy, we obviously can't just start off with Peter at work to establish what kind of a boss Angela is, or that Peter values his job, or something like that. So we start at Stewie's preschool, where his preschool is putting on a performance of a musical inspired by Terry Schiavo, who I talk about all the time. If you don't know who she is, go watch Video Essay like I did.
I think it's a little soon for a musical about Terry Schiavo.
Or too late.
Shh, it's Daddy.
Or too
Which,
late.
honestly, is not offensive to me since I found out who she was through this episode. But yeah, South Park did this whole plot line way better. Plus, they didn't wait 5 years like Family Guy did. I think that's part of it. Like, maybe enough time went by, so But fun fact, the family of Terry Schiavo was outright offended by this episode. Oh, not because of the whole, like, male-female thing, but because of what they said about Terry. And her brother even wrote an article with the Christian Newswire saying, "My family was astonished at the cruelty and bigotry towards our beloved sister and all disabled people that we witnessed in this show. My first thought was how this attempt at satire must have been enormously difficult and painful for my mother. After further thought, I realized that using my deceased sister as fodder for satire also validates what our family has been saying for many years. There is growing, deep-rooted prejudice against people with brain injuries and other cognitive disabilities. This sort of barefaced bigotry is dehumanizing to those with disabilities and cruel to those who work tirelessly to ensure that people with disabilities are provided the proper care, protection, and respect. People are not vegetables." Even though Terry was brain dead, but okay. Schindler also believes that it is not a coincidence that this terrible primetime skit took place 10 days prior to the 5-year anniversary of Terry's death, March 31st, 2005, and just weeks before